long story short, Facebook changed the rules on the game about 2 weeks ago. Just as I felt like I'd got myself finally organized with some really good software, and then yeah, they went and changed the rules. So, what does this mean for you guys? Well, in a nutshell, it means that NZHSP live Q&A sessions every Friday at 2 p.m. will continue to take place, but will be completely housed within the NZHSP Facebook community. So for a little while now, I've been trialing running this consecutively between both Facebook and LinkedIn. With some varying success. So yeah, long story short, what this means for you guys is that this is now firmly within the walls, the perimeters of the Facebook group. Also based on some feedback from some of you as well, is that you have been feeling a little bit less inclined to comment and let us know your thoughts during the conversations because you weren't exactly sure where the stream was going to. So now I can confirm that it's just purely within this Facebook community, this amazing Facebook community that we have. So I'm trialing a couple of little bits of new tech in the background. So hopefully the video footage is coming in a lot clearer than previously. Also audio should hopefully be super clear, crisp and amazing. And also, let me introduce you to my new shelf. Over time, this will no doubt get some new bits and pieces added to it. So yeah, so it's all go. It's all very exciting. So welcome to those of you who are tuning in live. I'm just checking in on the Facebook group right now just to make sure that this is all streaming correctly. For those of you who are tuning in, let me know. Is it sounding okay? Is it visually looking all right? What's your thoughts about the shelf? Let me know in the comments, and then I'll kick off. All right. So lots to discuss today. As always, there's always moving parts in the world of health and safety here in New Zealand and beyond, and always really keen to share my thoughts, but also inspire you guys to engage and let me know what you're thinking too. So before I go into some of those news events, I also just wanted to introduce some new regular items that I'm going to be bringing to the table each week as well. So a couple of new things for us to look forward to each Friday at 2. One is to acknowledge an individual who has been providing lots of time and energy into the NZH Facebook community. So I really wanted to take the time to shine some light on those individuals who are really helping to make this the amazing community that it is. And it just completely made sense straight away to mention 2 individuals who have really made this place hum over the last few years. And so without any further ado, I just wanted to simply acknowledge Jen Dransfield and Melissa Dunstan, who behind the scenes are constantly keeping an eye on the group and helping to make this the special place that it has become. So Jen and Mel, long-term good friends of mine who just continue to go above and beyond when it comes to NZHSP, but also just the health and safety practice in general here in New Zealand. So to both of you, thank you. I wouldn't be able to do what we do without your support. So yeah, just an opportunity to shine some light on your awesomeness. Over the next few weeks, months, years to come, I'm going to continue to shine light on those individuals who are really making this place the special community that it is. So keep your eyes and ears peeled, because who knows, it might be your name that gets mentioned next time around. Okay. The other thing that I wanted to talk about was the New Zealand Health and Safety Professionals Summit. So many of you now will be aware that we are looking at pulling off a real in-person event, a big one here in New Zealand. Now, a few weeks ago, I launched a waitlist which provided those who signed up to it the opportunity to help us define what the summit is going to look like. Over 100 of you have responded to that call to action. I just wanted to provide you guys with an opportunity here and now to jump on to that wait list and to also have your say in terms of what the summit is going to look like. There is the quick link now. Boom, it's in the comment section. For those of you who haven't taken the time to jump in and to express your interest in joining us on the summit, I really wholeheartedly recommend that you do. We are gleaning so much information from this process. We're getting a really solid sense in terms of what the most amazing health and safety conference would look like for you. We are going above and beyond to make sure that this event is unlike any other health and safety event that you have attended. And we're doing that on the first instance by asking you what you want, which is significantly different to most other conferences that I've been to, and I'm sure it'll be the same for you. Some of the insights that we've had so far, it's been really interesting. We have been asking those who have joined the waitlist already where in the country that they would most prefer the summit to take place. This in itself has been really, really interesting, and the information has surprised even those of us in the background who are putting it all together. In particular, there was one city that is kind of standing well above or packing more weight than we had previously considered. So it's just making us kind of scratch our heads and think carefully about how we're going to make this happen and where it's going to happen. So the more input we get, the more likely it is that this is going to be a really kick-ass event. Behind the scenes, I've secured the MC for the conference and meeting with this individual next week to refine and work out the fine details for the day, and also starting to secure some serious heavy hitter keynote speakers. The conference with a difference is everything that it says it's going to be. Every keynote speaker that we bring to the event will be paid for. Many conferences, you may be surprised to hear, fail to pay for their keynote speakers. Even some of the conferences who charge many thousands of dollars for participants to attend. We're not like that. We are going to acknowledge their skills and the amazingness that they bring to the table, and ensuring that we are bringing some of the very sharpest minds within our industry and beyond to the day. So jump onto that link, submit your details, let us know what would make the event really amazing for you, and let's turn this into the very best health and safety event ever. Cool. Very exciting times. If you join that waitlist, you will also get access to information that others just don't have access to. You'll be finding out who the MC is long before anyone else in the public realm, so it's well worth jumping onto that. Okay. What else did I want to talk about? Okay, posts of the week. So this is another thing that I'm introducing to the live Q&A sessions each week, is to shine some light on those who have posted really interesting, really popular comments within the NZHSP group. So the topmost post over the last several days has been the comment I raised around ICAM investigations. Two reports that I had been invited to review. Both of them left me a little bit concerned in terms of, well, one, they were both reported as near-miss events when, from my opinion, something had actually happened. It may not have harmed someone, but it had caused property damage. And the second, and probably more important concern, was that because they had both been labelled as near-miss events, no harm occurred. My gut was that the potential risk of both of those events had been missed out of the equation, and therefore both incident investigations didn't go far enough in terms of root cause analysis, and we were looking at a lot of administrative improvement actions, and I was like, oh, this doesn't feel right. So anyway, thank you so much for everyone who commented and put your thoughts and ideas behind that discussion. Since then, I've gone back to that particular main contractor and had a bit of a yarn about their processes, and have now got a much better handle on their internal processes. Everyone does ICAM slightly different. There is no regulatory guidelines around incident investigation processes. Every business has the ultimate right to choose how they manage these types of events using their own risk management frameworks. So it's been a really interesting conversation. So thank you to everyone who kind of got involved in that conversation. And then the other post that has been really resonating with you all is from an anonymous member who asked about JSAs. What is the difference between a JSA, JSEA, a Take 5, a 5x5, an SOP, a SWIMS? Led to some really interesting conversations around what is the what is the meaning of a name? What is the difference between any of them, really? Really interesting stuff. And once again, it kind of boils right back to the point that the regulator and legislation will never dictate exactly how a company manages their risks. We are all left to create the processes and systems in order to identify, control, mitigate, and then communicate those controls across those interested parties. So that's one of the reasons why there are so many variables and differences between the names of these different types of documents. From my perspective, there is some slight nuances between some of the documentation. So from my opinion, a standard operating procedure, a safe work methodology statement, possibly would sit at a slightly higher rank than a JSA or a JSEA, which is more of a dynamic, living, breathing document that often you find in a live work environment. And then you've got things like Take 5s, which are generally just to help identify any unforeseen risks in front of that work group. To help make some sense of that, I did a YouTube video like 4 or 5 years ago to try and break down some of those different nuances. Now, in risk of, let me just push this in here now for you too. In risk of perhaps trying to overcomplicate something that should actually be fairly simple, I felt it was worth sharing this with you all because it may help, particularly the anonymous member who did the original post, to help to clarify and define some of those differences. It may just muddy the borders. Don't know. It would be interesting to hear what your thoughts are on this. So, so those are the two top posts over the last few days that have really kind of picked up people's imaginations. So the reason why I'm doing this and making this part of a regular segment of the live Q&A sessions is to acknowledge and shine some light on those of you who are creating posts that are really starting to resonate and get everyone involved in the conversations. So in doing so, hoping that this encourages many of you to start putting fingers to the keyboards and really getting involved in the conversations that are taking place. At the end of the day, NZHSP, particularly in the Facebook space, is just phenomenal source of information and just continues to blow my mind. So thank you everyone who gets involved. You guys are amazing. Okay, now I said I was going to talk about some topics and I'm going to do that in a minute. I'm just doing a quick time check. 15 minutes in, I've got another 15 minutes, so maybe 5 minutes on each of these topics. Before I rattle into these news items, which I think are of interest to us all, I'm just going to do another check-in. In the comments section, directly below the video on your screen, can you just let me know that you can hear me, that you can see me, that this new kind of style of live feeds is kind of ticking your boxes and floating your boat? Let me know. I can actually, hopefully, I might even be able to see exactly who is commenting as well. So yeah, say hello, even if it's a thumbs up. You can do it. Come on. I'm just going to have a sip of water whilst I look for some sign of life out there. Thank you, Damien. I appreciate that because that was getting a little bit awkward. Cool. All right. If any of the other live callers in, if you want to just give us a thumbs up or just let me know that you're still awake and with us, that would be epic. But I also appreciate that you're probably tuning in whilst being busy at work. So you do you. That's all good. All right, team. So news items of interest. I did have a look to see if I could share my screen within this new Facebook space. I'm just gonna have a quick look. And I think it's too complicated for it. I think I have to do a shared screen at the very beginning, and then that's my choice over. So that being the case, hey Tracy, nice to have you here. Hello to you too. All right. And also, actually, Tracy, whilst you have very kindly said hello, you've just reminded me that yes, I am well overdue organising some face-to-face coffee catch-ups. The last 8 weeks, if you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll know it has been insanely busy at my end. So just catching my breath. This is the first time I've been behind the desk for a whole day here in Christchurch in the last 8 weeks. So anyway, cool. Thank you, Damien. I really appreciate that comment. That's really kind of you. I am making a point of recording these sessions and then also making them available on YouTube. I'll share the YouTube link at the end of this presentation so that any of you can tune in at any stage and play catch up if that's useful to you. Okay, so the first topic, let's get into it, Matt, because you're rambling. First topic is the fact that the CEO of WorkSafe NZ has put in a formal notice and will be wrapping up in the middle of this year. Unsurprisingly, the press release that went out last night was not penned by him. We haven't actually seen an official press release from the current CEO of WorkSafe NZ, who's been in that role since the 1st of October 2023. Some would argue that the seat has been sitting empty since the previous CEO walked. I am just going to hold my opinion, actually, because I suspect there's possibly quite a bit of work being going on behind the scenes in order to get things in a better state for whoever is going to be fortunate enough to get that role later on in the year. So I'm just going to kind of just hold my bite my tongue just for now and just see what comes out in the wash. I would really hope to think that this has just been a bit of a temporary blip and not been an utter waste of all of our time. Fingers crossed. I did have a discussion the last time we got together around what is the role of the regulator to the health and safety professional anyway. You may want to catch up on that because I did do a bit of deep thinking about all of this and our relationship with the regulator. I've been getting quite upset and frustrated by the inaction and just utter shambles that WorkSafe NZ Inc. has been for the last few years, certainly not meaning individual WorkSafe NZ employees who I know are doing an amazing job and doing everything they possibly can to turn the tide. But it kind of just led me to question why I was tying the performance of WorkSafe NZ with our overall health and safety practitioner performance here in New Zealand, because I think it's really important to actually keep the two separated. What we do or don't do actually has bugger all to do with WorkSafe and vice versa. So that's why it's so important to be engaging with community groups such as NZHSP and others, because we're not intertwined, and that's for good reason. So anyway, it's a bit of a ramble, but yeah, seriously, a bit of a shocker announcement. Damien, was it always supposed to be a temp posting? I'm not actually sure. I have to go away and have a look. What was discussed back in October 2023. I think it was perhaps meant to be an interim role, but this feels like a very short period. But I'm not sure. I'm sure someone else who will watch this might be able to jump in the comments and be able to confirm one way or another. It'd be interesting to hear. So that's the first piece of news. The second piece of news that I wanted to briefly talk about was the New South Wales Building Commissioner who recently visited Auckland, New Zealand. During his time in Auckland, he went to a well-known property development that is currently under reconstruction, and he had been warned that this place was pretty bad. He described it as one of the very worst, if not the worst, property development project that he has ever seen. Pretty unfortunate that it was seen here in New Zealand and Auckland, but RNZ released a story on this today. One of their reporters interviewed the building commissioner from New South Wales, and it's only a short clip. It's about a 10-minute interview, and I listened to it this morning. And one of the key takeaways from that conversation was his take on the importance of the regulatory bodies to have boots on the ground, to be visibly seen, to have teeth. And that his experience in Australia, where in some states where the regulators have been pulled off the beat and are no longer seen in places of work, they have become, in his words, the Wild West. And for me, it felt quite timely to hear the commissioner say this. I've got really grave concerns that we do not have enough WorkSafe inspectors on the beat. I've got grave concerns that the number of inspectors is halved pretty much since the launch of WorkSafe NZ, and out of that number, the vast majority of them are sitting in middle management office positions, that they're not actually strapping on their boots and getting involved in the high risk industries anymore. It's quite terrifying, really. And so it felt quite timely to listen to that interview, because what the building commissioner from New South Wales was reminding us was that it is critically important, if not imperative, for the regulators, no matter what piece of legislation they are there to enforce, must be felt and seen on the beat. They must be strapping on their boots and getting out there and involved in the higher risk projects, whether it's construction, civil, transportation, manufacturing, engineering, whatever it is, they need to be seen. And I think that's possibly my call to action to whoever is lucky enough or otherwise to take on the role of CEO at WorkSafe NZ. It's a critically important piece. And then the third news story. So this one really is super interesting, right? So we've got the New Zealand Police Force, who are making use of a piece of legislation that was originally introduced to tackle organized crime, drug dealers, mafia type criminal activities, right? So the Criminal Proceeds Recovery Act, which was introduced in 2009, was for gangs and for drug trafficking and all the nasty stuff that goes with it, right? But all of a sudden, we find ourselves basically witnessing a court case that is involving the Fisher family, who were successfully prosecuted by WorkSafe a few years ago for the death of a worker who was grinding on a fuel tank which belonged to the family business. There was fuel in that tanker. Sparks ignited the fuel, and sadly the worker was killed. Now, WorkSafe successfully prosecuted the business and the director, with the understanding that the director and the PCBU would cease to operate immediately after the court findings, right? They didn't. They continued to operate. And so the New Zealand Police Force have taken it upon themselves to go for this family. And they are using this piece of legislation, which was originally designed for criminal gangs, drug trafficking, and all of the nastiness that goes with that, and are now shifting it towards a PCBU that has basically snubbed the nose of the courts and of WorkSafe NZ. Really fascinating stuff. If you're not following the story, I would really strongly recommend you do so. RNZ published a really interesting article on it. I'm just going to do a quick share right now whilst I'm talking to you, so you can find it easily. Here we go. because this has massive ramifications for any business or undertaking here in New Zealand in terms of the reach of the police authorities. I have had some in the media reach out to me to ask my opinion about whether WorkSafe's prosecution went far enough and whether there was fault in the trials and the outcomes, which has then allowed this business to continue operating. I'm kind of having a bit of a think about that at the moment. I don't have enough detail to, with confidence, be able to come through and say yes or no on that particular point. I'm going to go away and do some thinking of my own in that space before I make any type of comment. But it's just fascinating, and I have had the fortunate luck to be able to do interviews with the Health and Safety Unplugged podcast. And I've just recently just had a conversation with a ex-health and safety inspector who gave me some insights into this case as well, which isn't really public knowledge. Fascinating stuff. Really strongly recommend you jump on this, have a look at the content, and become familiar with the case, because it's going to blow up in the media soon. And if you do report to executives, senior leaders, the boards, they're going to want to know about this. So definitely follow that. Which leads me perhaps to the final point, which is the WhatsApp group. So we've got the NZHSP WhatsApp group. Basically, it's free to use via WhatsApp. Anytime there is an interesting news article, I'll send a link directly through that group, and you get an instant notification on your phone. It's just a one-way comms. There's no toing and froing. It's just simply a way to keep up to date with the news. Many of you, based on the feedback that I've received from the street, are using this to help assist with the population of your board and executive reports. You're using the news articles that are coming through to keep your key decision makers abreast of what is going on in the health and safety world, which is really, really cool to hear. If you're looking for a quick link for that, that is a pinned post at the top of the NZHSP Facebook group feed. You'll find the link in one of those pinned groups, posts, all about the NZHSP WhatsApp group. So that's all about providing you guys with as much value information as we possibly can, and yeah, just keeping on rocking on. So how are we doing for time? Well, 30 seconds to go. Not bad, Matt. So there you go. A new format. So each week from here on in, I am going to acknowledge who has been one of the shining stars on the group, whether it's a post or a comment. I'm going to make sure that we acknowledge each of you who are just being amazing. We are also going to comment on the top one or two posts of the week as well. Really just bringing it full circle back around on ourselves, just to really acknowledge all of you, each of you that are contributing and really making this place the unique space that it is. And then I'll also comment on 2 or 3 of the news articles that are of interest at the moment. So there you go. So if you like this new format, let me know. If you've got anything to say about my funky new shelf in the background, that would also be cool to hear about. I'm going to jump over to YouTube, where I've got all of the recordings of all the previous sessions that we've done, and I'll make sure that I link that in the comments underneath. And yeah, that's me. I've got to get back to it. I'm sure you guys do too. So have a wonderful weekend for those of you who are not working over the weekend. And I will be back next Friday, same time, 2 p.m. for your next live Q&A session. Thank you to those of you who have contributed and got involved in the live discussion, and a big hello to all of you who are watching the recording. You can still comment and get involved in the conversations. This just continues to flow over the next few days to come. So yeah, I will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Thank you.